Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks, and welcome back to another episode of Firsts, where I talk about my first experiences. Today, and throughout this month, we have a few Halloween-themed ones, in between our other episodes of Firsts. You can also recommend some in the comments down below, same as usual, and you'll get a shout out within the next video when I talk about it. So for today, I'm going to talk about my first haunted house experience. I don't even know if you guys can actually see me, so I'm going to turn the lights on. But killer intro, am I right? So, the first, and I think only time I've ever been to a haunted house. You know, something that people have set up, make it all spooky, people hire it in order to jump out and surprise, you know, fog machines all around, you know the drill. But the first one that I've actually went to wasn't too far away from me. It was a couple towns over in a place that actually was, in a way, haunted outside of the setup for Halloween. So this was on a property known as the Hilltop, and the reservation surrounding it had a whole bunch of land with buildings that at one time were being used, but at the point that this haunted house was happening, really didn't have a lot of updating, maintaining, and some buildings have actually fallen apart. So there were some of them where I've actually seen up close, they were just rubble. Literally nothing left except for the concrete driveways and roads surrounding it falling apart. Wasn't even an entire road you could drive through. So I think there was a sanitarium or something similar to a sanitarium that was just little bits of a brick wall remaining, and some urban legends and stories about that, which I think I'll have to save for another time. And the building that this haunted house was hosted in was not too far away from them. It was actually across the road from one of those sanitariums that actually was kept in place. You know, still had some things falling apart. I knew people in high school that trespassed through there. I was not one of them. But, you know, telling their own stories about investigating it on their own. This building in particular was part of a firehouse. So the building itself was 2, maybe 3 stories tall, and converted every year into a haunted house. Usually there was a local Boy Scout group that was running it. I don't remember if my troop participated entirely at any point. I think 1 or 2 may have gone to it and joining with the other Boy Scout troops in the area. I don't remember my troop entirely taking it on because not many of us, well, we were all chickens. Or at least many of them that I can recall. I knew my older brother and his friends that were in scouting, they would participate in it. And if they weren't actually in the house itself, there were a couple of stands right outside of the house that would serve refreshments, maybe a fun activity or something, you know, whether it's before going in or after going in, whatever the case may be. So one of these years, I decided to go along with it, go actually touring through the haunted house. And I don't remember if my brother went with me, but I do remember going with my dad among a group of other people. It was, I wouldn't say traumatic, but it was a very strange experience. It was something that I don't know if I would be able to do again. Not too traumatic, but still like trying to get into the mindset of it. Because when I went, I think I was just getting from Cub Scouts into Boy Scouts. And I don't think I was in the troop that long. So I was still pretty young and still very much a chicken. So I can't remember every single detail of this house. I only remember a handful of things. Still have pictures of them in my head for some of these. So many years later, like over 10 years later. And it was still good for the atmosphere, I'll give it that. It was still, it got the spooks out of me. But I'm trying to think, like, how to embrace a haunted house without being actually nightmarishly terrified of them. And just going in, having a good time, and, like, I know it's fake, and just get over it, you know? I don't think I really had nightmares with these. Not that I remember. I don't have them anymore, if that's the case. So, some of the parts of the haunted house that I remember distinctly a hallway had a little bit of fog through it, mostly green, bluish lights that were going on different sides of the hallway. And if I remember correctly, there were either pockets in the walls where people would have hands coming out or something like that. And I think there was a minecart that they somehow, not an actual minecart, but a makeshift look-alike of a minecart that was in one of the hallways. Like I remember there being a track or something that was in there. So, other than the hallway itself being very narrow, it was also filled with these little things where it's like, if you try to move through there, you're bound to embrace one of these at one point, or not have not be able to avoid it completely. So, I'd have to say the most memorable part about it was one room. It seemed so out of place at first. You walk in after seeing a couple of things, and it turns into a Santa's workshop with elves making toys, bright colors, candy cane stuff. Everything you can think of for a Santa's workshop was there. And it seemed very neutral, like a casual scene. It really threw you off because it's like, what is this all doing here? But then you also notice it's just the elves. There's no Santa Claus. Nowhere to be seen. Small, charming music playing in the background. Everyone's working on toys at their own tables. But there's a door on the other side of it. And maybe you don't notice it at first, but at one point, bam! You hear a knock through the door, and Scooby's next to me. Hopefully I'm not scaring him. Bam! The door opens wide, and Santa is not Santa. He is decked out head to toe in all kinds of weaponry. I think he even had a bandolier or something across his torso. I don't know if it was in both directions or at least one of them, but he was loaded bare for for some mayhem, and literally just throws it all out. Just goes ape at all of the elves, and it's just a giant massacre. Of course, again, being in pretend, not actual firearms, just a simulation of it, but still getting the lights and the sounds across that it's like a visualization of that Weird Al song, The Night Santa Went Crazy. And that's not a thing I wanted in my head. It didn't turn me off from Christmas, let's put it that way. I don't remember a traumatic experience like, these elves died for these toys, or anything. But it was still a unique, off-guard kind of thing that is probably the most memorable part of the haunted house, and it's not even Halloween themed. So I'll give it some credit there. Yeah, there was that. I also remember during that time, my whole family was there. Like I said, I think my brother might have been working one of the stands or something outside. My dad went in with me, and my sister and my mom were staying in the car. They had a small parking lot right outside of there, and just a little distance away from where all the concessions were and where the haunted house itself was. But they got an experience that I don't remember seeing myself, but is still kind of interesting. They're just hanging out, chilling in the car, and all of a sudden, they get some kind of noise coming up to the car. Sounds like a chainsaw or something like that. And lo and behold, somebody with a hockey mask comes forward near the window, just kind of brandishing the chainsaw nearby, giving them their own kind of little fright. So, even though they didn't go in the haunted house, they still got something to come home to. So yeah, I unfortunately don't remember a lot from the haunted house. I just remember the building itself, the area that's surrounding it, the fact that this building was already run down and it wasn't like a rental or something. I mean, I think it was, but it's like it wasn't used for other things in general. It wasn't an operating firehouse. So that just made it a little bit more intriguing, especially would be something that nowadays I kind of would want to go back to just for that nugget of information alone. I've definitely been more fascinated by things like Weird New Jersey and a few channels on YouTube where they talk about abandoned, closed, rundown places. They've just been you know, nobody's maintained them for a long time. They've been for sale, but nobody's ever bought them. Nobody's demolished the property. Just eerily sitting there as an empty husk. And this would definitely be one of those kinds of things where I'd be like, I would go back just for knowing that lore, that history with it. But maybe still getting another fright with a haunted house. So there's that. But yeah, let me know about your first time you've went to a haunted house. I know that they pop up every year. I don't know if I'm going to go to one this year, or if I do, I'd rather go with a group of friends, because I'm going to lose my mind if I go on my own. I'm fairly positive about that. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Although I could see going with my friends being a bad thing, because if they're less chicken than I am, they'll just simply do like taps on my back or something. I was like, do I sit in the back so they don't spook me? I don't know. I don't really know. But thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time with more first videos. Like I said, leave your requests in the comments, and maybe we'll see some more Halloween goodness of firsts in the near days, weeks, later this month. We'll see you next time with more videos. Yeah, this is really intimidating, I know. I still have to get out of the Halloween decorations, other than this. But yeah, have a good one.